Okay, hello and good day to everyone. That is for tuning in here at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Once again, I'm going to be the host for today's episode. My name is Dwayne, and right now we have yet another exciting episode featuring one of the best real estate agents in America. So right now, I guess we got quite a rock star of a guest today, and by the name of John Lahey. This guy's a best-selling author and an award-winning realtor who crushes it in the DC metro area, selling over 300 homes a year. Yes, you've heard that right. And John is also not just a real estate guru. He's also a national speaker who's been featured and interviewed in CBS, ABC, Fox, and NBC. He's got more awards than you can count, including eXp Realty's Icon Agent Award and, of course, RE Max's Diamond Club. So right now, he's channeling his superpowers into coaching agents at the Fine Living Group, helping them level up their game. So get ready for some killer insights and maybe a few laughs along the way. So please welcome John. How are you doing today? And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay, and I have to ask, how much for that haircut, John? Looking really clean.
It's priceless.
Exactly.
My hairdresser went on vacation for a month, and I was struggling there. So I had to hold all interviews and all. I had a photo shoot for this magazine I was going to be featured on. I was like, you have to wait for my hairdresser to come back in town. She has to make me look good.
Exactly. That's the importance of having that kind of sleek hairstyle. You can't risk it looking a bit different from what you're supposed to be looking at. But then again, you're looking really sleek right now. So that means, I guess, your hairdresser is in town right now. So good for you.
Thank you.
I guess to start off, John, tell us more. What do you think is the best comfort food for you to eat in a successful weekend after lots of sales?
Comfort food. Okay, so that's two different things, because comfort food after a successful weekend and comfort food are two different things for me. So like after a successful weekend where I'm like, you know what, I earned this meal. Like I'm just gonna relax and chill. I'm gonna have bourbon and steak. Like I'm gonna be sitting there at the bar drinking bourbon, and I'm gonna order a nice cut of steak. That's my comfort food after a successful weekend where I earned my meal there.
Definitely well deserved, and one of the few things that keeps us working extra harder like the next week. Food. I don't know. I'm in love with food. It's like one of the biggest benefits of living. But
absolutely. Yes. It's I travel for food, and I love food, and I'm known in the area as like, you know what, I know where all the restaurants are in our market. So like when clients are coming in town, I can always give them advice also to like where to eat, where to go for fun and stuff like that, because it's not just about the home, it's also about like the life, that you're going to enjoy around when you're moving here.
Okay, so sell and buy your home and find out the best restaurants in the area. You got John as one of your guys. Yes.
It's not just like where the grocery store is. It's also like, where's the coffee shops? Where's the restaurants? Where are you going to have nice meal? Where's the date night restaurants? Stuff like that. It matters. Like when you're moving in from out of state, out of town, like you want to know where all those things are, to get acclimated to your new surroundings.
It's actually, it might sound funny for some, but, that actually makes a lot of sense, especially for someone who's wanted to live in somewhere else. Maybe they're gonna want the same kind of food, the comfort food that they eat back at home, the new place that they're living at. So yeah, it's actually one of the things that you should look at. But that being said, how long have you been in the real estate industry?
This is my 20th year. So I started back in 2004. I started in 2004 after I read my first real estate book. It was by Robert Allen, and it's how to use other people's money to invest in real estate. And I just always believed that real estate is a great place for you to invest, and it's probably the safest investment also, because over time property values always appreciate. So I remember buying my first investment in 2004, and immediately thereafter I became a landlord. I was able to increase the value and became a landlord, and I got my license for later that year. And just it's been I don't want to say smooth sailing, because it's not smooth sailing, but it's been like a great story since 2004 till today. I can't believe this is my 20th year in real estate now.
Yeah, and you became a landlord before you got to become a real estate agent, correct?
Yeah. Yep. I became a landlord before I became a real estate agent. After my first project, my first investment, I was able to do some renovations to the condo unit that I purchased and increase the value. And I was able to take some equity out and bought a second property, a third property, a fourth property, and so on. And after my first one, I decided to just get my license, because if I'm going to do this, as at the time it was a side gig for me, and I'm like, might as well just earn a little bit more on the margins and get my own commission. I was one of those people who got my license because I wanted to buy a home.
I guess when money is rolling in, you're going to be thinking to yourself, like, why am I not doing this full time? Why am I still doing something else? And I guess that's kind of like the hook that got you into real estate. And fast forward 20 years, you're still doing it. And, one of the best people to do it as well. And
Thank you.
as you mentioned it earlier, though, it's not always smooth sailing. Definitely in the world of real estate, it's like a Shark Tank here where, you need to work hard. You need to grind hard. There's lots of times where you won't get any sales at all. So how were you able to, endure those trials, especially in the first parts of your business?
2008 was when the market crashed. I mean, there's been market adjustments since then, but 2008 was the year where I sold no homes. It was also the last year where I sold no homes. I think it was 2008. And it was like December 31st, 2008. And I looked and I was like, I guess this year I just didn't sell anything. It was that bad. But I realized that there's other people who are more successful than me. And back when I got started, I had the mindset of, I was jealous of the successful people. I was jealous of like the people who were better than me. And instead of like hanging out with them and learning from people who are successful, I decided to isolate myself from them, because I'm like, well, they're probably like stuck up and, all these like limited beliefs of who they were. And so I never made any attempt to connect and learn from people who are more successful, or even hang out with people who are more successful than me, until like later on in my career. And if you look at the trajectory of my business, there was 1 year when I made my first jump from a handful of homes a year to selling, double digits. And after that year, continually, we keep on growing. It was really the change was, instead of isolating myself from people who are more successful, I just decided to, the best way and the fastest way to grow is just be comfortable in the uncomfortable, including being uncomfortable with other people who are just better than you. And so I remember just being at a bar one night after a conference in a different state. And I was surrounded by other real estate agents who were at my level of success at the time. And I was drinking my old fashioned, and these agents were telling me like why the stuff that they just learned in that conference was not doable. So they had all these beliefs why, hey, this is not going to work, and that's not going to work, and here's why it's not going to work. And just like I had an epiphany that moment, and I looked around and I said, you know what? These people don't believe it's going to work. It's probably not going to work. And I looked on the other side of the bar and I said, but those people have made it work. Those people were on stage and they're making a lot more money than me. They dress better than me. They look better than me. And I'm like, why don't I just like move my drink over there? So I literally excused myself. I went to the other side of the bar and I introduced myself and I said, hey, you guys are making a lot more money than me. And obviously you have a better quality of life than me. And I'd love to learn from you. And that was the moment my business changed, was just like changing my surroundings, changing my peer group, and deciding that, you know what? I didn't want to be average. I wanted to be like really good at this. If I'm going to make money in real estate, I'm going to learn from people who were making money. And I just took that first step of the initiative of, I'm going to take my physical location was at one side of the bar and I moved myself to the other side of the bar and I changed my surroundings, and my story changed because of that.
I think that is really relatable. That kind of mindset, it's common, not just in the real estate world, but I guess in any general profession, because you want it to be the best. And, if I wanted to be the best, why should I seek advice for someone who I want to be better than?
Yeah.
And you need to have that kind of, I guess, humbleness. You need to lower down your pride, because if those people are successful, they must be doing something right that you're not doing. You need to level yourself with them. And pretty much that's how you got, you elevated yourself by changing, just literally changing to the other side of the bar and I guess that kind of changed your outlook and how your career went through from there on. And
Yep.
that being said, 1 year without any sales. Normally, people would start to quit after that. Like, okay, no sales for 1 year. You don't have like this monthly paycheck that's paying off like, a
Right.
fixed paycheck. So pretty much how were you able to survive during that 1 year without anything?
So here's the crazy part. So in 2008, I was still part-time in real estate. So I had income coming in from another job. And but I did the crazy thing after a year of not making any sales. And the next year, I probably sold like a handful of homes. I was able to sell a few more. And I decided most people will not go full time after that. And I was like, you know what? I should just go full time. And but I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I should just go all in instead of half in, half out. And there's a lot of realtors who's like, well, I'm going to try it and I'm going to go half in, like I'm going to test the waters. And if it works, then I'll go full in. But if it doesn't work, then at least I still have something to fall back on. But in all reality, the reality is like, if you want to be successful, burn the freaking bridge. Like, don't go backwards. If you know what you want, just you have an outcome that you're focused on, just go for it. Tony Robbins, one of my mentors, he said, burn the boat. You can't go backwards. Like if you're going out towards an island and you want to survive in this new island, and this island that I'm talking about is like real estate, right? You want to go into this new like endeavor of like, you know what, I want to be a top real estate agent. But you still have the boat to fall back on and go back to your last career. You're never going to go all out and all in and be resourceful because you still have the backup option to go backwards. So what I did was I decided in November 2009, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go all in. And people thought I was crazy, and I probably was a little crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go
for everything that happened.
All in. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go into my office tomorrow morning. I'm going to quit and I'm going to go all into real estate. I burned the bridge. I burned the boat. I'm like, I can't go backwards. There's no option to go backwards now. That's the best thing, man. If you want to be successful in life, like don't have a backup option, just go all in. Because you know what? There are two things, right? You can be resourceful, or you can have resources, or you can just be resourceful. But sometimes you don't have to be resourceful if you still have the backup option of going backwards and just be like, you know, I can go back to my old job. So I decided, you know what? Let's take that second option out of the equation. It's going to force me to be resourceful regardless of my resources.
That totally makes sense. Yes. You're going to go half-ass about, going to a new career, knowing that, okay, if I fail this anyway.
Right. Like I still have a job that I can always go back, right? No. If you take that approach, you're never going to go all in. And so there's a lot of realtors in our market right now they're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of all in, but I'm not really all in. No, you want to be successful, go all in. Because it will force you to be resourceful.
Maximize. What's crazy about what you did? Oh, sorry.
Right? It's gonna make you. It's gonna force you to be successful.
Yeah. And you've been talking about this earlier. Like you made 0 sales, but as a part timer. But instead you went full in. The next time, like, okay, you know what? I didn't make any sales this year. How about I go all in? Maybe I'll make more sales today. I think that was kind of like the mindset that you got, and.
I mean, I'm looking back at it now, I was like, that's a badass decision I made. But other people thought it was crazy, and I rightfully so. Most people were like, no, you don't go into full time after that. Like, you should go back into your full time job, and keep real estate as a side gig because obviously you didn't sell enough houses. And I said, no, I really want to be passionate about this. I'm passionate about real estate. I'm passionate about helping people in real estate, and I'm like, I'm just going to go all in.
Exactly. And it definitely bore some fruits because you're not just solo agent right now. Definitely you've been mentoring a lot of people that's able to, hopefully get to to be successful this way as well with the methods that you're teaching. So tell us, how were you able to scale up your business? I think you started off as a solo agent if you're a part-timer. So when did you start scaling up in terms of like manpower in your team?
That's a good question. So I started really learning how to build the real estate like business. I want to say like around 2011, and I learned like how to generate leads, how to do marketing properly, how to to start having me show up on Google organically. Around 2011 and 2012, I think I had my first quote unquote partner in real estate, a lender that until now I'm still working with. And in 2013, about midway through the year, we were expecting our first baby at the time. And so I had a deadline. I put a deadline for myself, and I said, I want to be home when my baby's born. I want to be there with my with her. So I decided at that time, I'm like, you know what, that just means I need to have a buyer agent that's fully trained by then. And so I was able to connect with somebody that I knew at the brokerage, and until he's still on the team now. So we partner up, and we hired our first agent back in May 2013. And then around July, August 2013, we partnered with a second agent. Both of those agents are still on the team now. August 2013. So this is like 11 years ago. We hired our first inside sales agent, who's a virtual assistant. And then November, December 2013, we hired our third and fourth realtor on the team. We partnered with our third and fourth realtor. So by the end of 2013, I came into the year as a solo agent with a lender, and I finished the year as a five agent team, and counting myself plus the inside sales agent. And that year was like, you see that trajectory. We more than doubled our business that first year, and we continually grow. So like scaling up the business, it's multi different levels. You can scale up your business by just bringing a bigger workforce, like partner with more agents, and then they bring the business to the table. And that's one way that we grew, is we always have business coming in from our agents, and we support that. On the other side, we also grow by generating business. We're big on marketing. We're big on lead generation. I hate the idea. People say, John, you're just people. I don't want to use the word accuse me, because it's not really accusing, but they have this false belief that I'm just buying leads. But we don't buy leads. So we spend zero marketing dollars buying leads. We spend money on marketing. So we have a marketing message, and we're good at marketing on various media channels, from social media, and we're doing Google pay-per-click. We're big on YouTube. We do stuff on the radio. We're on TV. So we market in different places, and using our marketing message, we're getting people to identify themselves as like, hey, I want to buy a home, or I want to sell a home, and we approach them that way. I hate the idea of just buying. I don't want to say hate the idea, but I find it very, very disrespectful when people say, oh, you're just buying leads. We don't buy a single lead. We market. Everybody who comes to us, they know who we are. They're not strangers. They're not coming in as oh, we didn't know you were calling a realtor. They know exactly who we are. And then one thing that I'm very proud of also is we have over 2,000 5-star reviews between Google and Zillow and Facebook and Yelp. All across the board, we have probably over 2,000 plus right now, 1,400 plus 5-star reviews on just on Google, and over 500 reviews, 5-star reviews on Zillow.
Yeah, that takes more than just buying leads. And I know your hatred for those people thinking that, oh, you just buy your leads, kind of disregards your effort, your marketing efforts. Because I guess in real estate, it's not the best agent that wins. I always hear this. It's the best marketer.
The best marketer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're pushing, you pretty much mentioned a lot of the avenues that you've been looking into, but I guess most of it comes from social media and pretty much the internet. And
we do internet and also radio and TV as well. So we do a lot on YouTube and TV as well.
Okay, but do you still do the traditional methods like open houses, cold calls like that?
We never do cold calls, but we do open houses. I always believe open houses is one of the best ways to generate leads, because if you think about it, buyers who are seriously looking to buy, they will actually physically look at houses versus research about houses. So I've always encouraged my team, and every time we have a home on the market, we always do open houses, not just to sell the house, but also to get our name and face out there and to meet people, because it's the cheapest and easiest way to meet people is do an open house.
I guess that makes total sense at all. You might not sell a house to everyone that's looked in, but if you've shown them the quality that you can provide, then they might contact you again for the next ones.
Absolutely. And every time I personally do an open house, I always pick up a client every single time. It's just having the right conversations, just being there at the right place, picking the right like price range for the open house and the right location. And you're gonna find buyers who's coming in, and they might come across as a tire kicker or like, a nosy neighbor. Like that's fine. But a nosy neighbor might be a neighbor who's wondering, what the heck should I do with my kitchen to get the most money for my house? Right? A nosy neighbor might be wondering, oh, I wonder what their bathroom looks like. And I'm wondering, if I do my bathroom like that, is my home going to be worth the same as this home? People are wondering, and there's always a reason why they're wondering, right? They don't just randomly decide, oh, I'm just going to look at a neighbor's house. Every wondering, nosy neighbor, they're wondering for a reason. It might be a 1% chance that they're going to sell in the future, but I'd rather be that agent who shows up during that early informative stage where they're trying to find information. I might as well be the person who advised them. So I'm okay doing open houses. I tell my agents, do open houses. Like, if you do it right, you'll pick up a client and you'll be able to like change their life. So open houses are great ways to do that.
Definitely. And you mentioned earlier, do you have virtual assistants as real estate agents under your team, or they're doing something else?
They are doing something else. So we have inside sales agents on our team who are virtual. Our marketing manager is virtual. Our social media manager is virtual. Our listing coordinator is virtual. Our closing coordinator and closing coordinator admin or like assistant they're both virtual. I've always taken the approach of if we're a systems oriented team, meaning that we have system and ways and processes that is clear as a process to do things, then it doesn't matter where you're located. You can be anywhere in the world. If the process is clear, the outcome should be predictable. Now, it's when the process is not clear or when the process is not being followed, that's when things become messy. But I've always taken the approach, find somebody who can follow instructions, and someone who's good with people, and should be fine. And I know the word should be fine, and it's an assumption that it will be fine. But more often than not, the person that we've taken on as a virtual assistant, they've helped us grow in very, very few times. And this is my 10th or 11th year with virtual assistants. Very few times where I had to let a virtual assistant go. Most of the time they work out. My virtual assistant right now, who's an inside sales agent for me, has been with me now for 11 years. My closing coordinator has been with me for, I don't remember how many years, but over 5 years. My social media manager, she's been with me probably for 8 years. It's been a long time. So, yeah, it's good.
I guess that kind of breaks the misconception of people thinking that, oh yeah, virtual assistants is just a temporary job that will last maybe 3 to 6 months, but you got one for like more than a decade of virtual assistant. I didn't even know that virtual assistants are prominent like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that being said, so right now, 10 years, using more than 10 years of using virtual assistants. If I may ask, as with Sphere Rocket, what kind of changes in terms of like getting a virtual assistant with us compared to, having a virtual assistant before?
I think there's like different models, right? There's different models in where you can take the virtual assistant route. One of the routes is you can hire directly, and which is, if you have a lot of free time, that's also an opportunity where you can go directly to like the job boards and search for and put a resume or put your classified ad out there, and people will apply. That's one way to do it. If you have a lot of free time, that's a cheap way to do it. But you'll have to scan through a lot of resumes. You have to do a lot of interviews, and then it may or may not work out. I think based on everybody on our staff, I think we have one person that we hire directly like that. Another approach is you can hire through an agency, and we did that before, but with the agency, they always take a cut, whether it's 30, 40, 50% of what your monthly pay is for your assistant. So as you keep on growing and you give them bonuses, and not bonuses, but you give them a pay raise, like an annual pay raise, the agency will always take a cut of the pay raise too. So it becomes limiting after a while. So if you're in it for a long, if your plan, like for me, is like when I hire somebody, it's usually not a 3-month job. It's not a 6-month job. It's not a 9-month job. I want them to grow with me long term. doing it the approach with the agency where you're giving a raise, but the raise is actually taken, part of that is taken by the agency, it's just not sustainable long term. With Sphere Rocket, what I love is that I just let them know, like, hey, here's the profile that I'm looking for, here's the job description that I'm looking for, and then they go out there and they fill my my schedule with the potential virtual assistants, and I interview them, and they come in not pretty much pre-screened by Sphere Rocket. So it frees up a lot of my time versus me having to like scan through a lot of different resumes and schedule the interviews.
Okay, definitely, basically just cherry picking from the best ones that's related to you. I guess hiring directly does save a lot of money, as you mentioned, but we need to do background checks. How am I assured that this guy's not just going to disappear just like that? I think those are one of the nightmares that you can think of if you're hiring directly. And pretty much Sphere Rockets kind of clears out, those sort of risks involved with hiring a virtual assistant. And of course, if a virtual assistant does not work out with you, we can happily, change it with someone else that think is a better fit for you. Mm-hmm. And thank you so much for your sentiments about, how your experiences with Sphere Rocket. And going back to your business, I guess if you're doing something for more than 20 years, it's got to be more than just the money. So why are you still in real estate despite, I guess beyond the money? Why are you still doing this?
I mean, I like the money too, but I love seeing agents that I help like grow, like become successful. Like one of the things that we have on our team is changing lives, making a difference. And it starts with the team. So like, it's not just like our clients' lives that we're changing, and which is that is the second level of lives that we're changing are the clients. But I look at it as like, my clients are my team. Like my agents, my direct agents are the people that I'm changing their lives. Like if I can impact them, and I can change the trajectory of their life, whether it's, from, let's just say from point A to point B, and point B is better than point A, then when they go out there and meeting people, they're coming in like, hey, my life's changed. I'm inspired to do better. I'm empowered to do greater things. They're coming out there also believing that it's possible for their clients. So to me, it's like, if I can change one person's life, that one person can change thousands of people's lives. I don't need to change thousands of people's life. I just have to change one person's life to have an impact in more people. So that's how I look at it. And honestly, that's why I keep on going. It's like, I love building people up. I love seeing people's lives change. And it's worth it for me. Being a team leader is not easy. Being a team leader is probably like most people, it's an over glorified position, and people have no idea how hard it is. So from time to time, I hear like random people like, I want to be a team leader like you. I'm like, I don't know if you want to do that. Like, you have no idea, like all the stuff, all the nonsense that we have to deal with as a leader. But there's one thing that I will never give up as a team leader, which is I love changing people's lives. I love impacting people. And if I can delegate everything else, I would delegate everything else. But I love changing people's life, and that I can't delegate.
I guess that's really beautiful. And it's kind of clears up the misconception for who you were before. Because knowing that you're going to ask help for someone better than you, like, oh, why would he help me? He probably doesn't want me to go, over him. But, it's that kind of mindset that you wanted to help the next generation. And that kind of kindness goes a lot longer in terms of compared to just having money. Like,
and you said it. That's exactly what it is. Like, I had somebody that I looked up to, and that person changed my life. So somebody whose lives got impacted by someone else is more likely to change other people's lives and be willing to do it unasked or without, like, unconditionally, right? And that's the way I look at it. I was like, I had other people who invested their time and energy in making sure that where I am today is because of them. So because they were willing to do that for me, I feel like, I can do that for other people. At the end of the day, it's not like about the money is always going to be there, right? If you do things right, God's going to bless you. Like, you'll be fine. So the money will always be there. If you do it right, the money will be there.
As long as your heart is in the right place, and you're in the position of being generous, I guess God is definitely going to bless you with success. Money is just going to be there, but as you mentioned, kindness goes a lot longer than this.
Yes.
That being said, I guess let's talk more about how do people get to see your listings or any services. Maybe you do some coaching as well. What's the best way to reach you for that?
So if you're a real estate agent and you want to talk to me and be like, hey, John, I want to pick your brain, I'd love to talk to you. JohnLahey.com, JONLAHEY.com is my first and last name, JohnLahey.com. And you can go to the website there, and there's a Calendly account if you want to schedule a time to just pick my brain or chat with me or whatever. If you want to look at my website, so the real estate consumer facing website is thefinelivinggroup.com. My team name is Fine Living Group. So it's thefinelivinggroup.com. And that's one way to get into, like, if you want to look at my marketing or at least my stuff there. If you want to leave me a 5-star review, please leave me a 5-star review on Google. It's reviewfineliving.com. So reviewfineliving.com will take you directly to our Google landing page where you can leave a 5-star review for our team. So if you had a great experience with our team before, please, I would be so honored if you leave us a 5-star review. And if you had a bad experience with our team, I'd love for you to schedule a consultation with me so I can hear about it, so I can fix it. Don't leave me a 1-star review. Leave me a 5-star review or schedule a consultation.
Help us first, yeah. That's what yeah. And just wanted to clear things up. Are you selling properties or listings in the DC area, Metro DC area, or are you also covering somewhere else?
Yeah, so I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, Virginia. My team, my local team here is in the DC, Maryland, Virginia market. We also have a team in Florida, so we have Fine Living South Florida. We cover from Jupiter all the way down to Miami, and then we have a team out in San Diego, Fine Living San Diego. But then with that said, we have connections with anybody in the whole country. If you're looking for a real estate agent or a contractor or anything like that, we have connections with other agents all around the country. In total, my network is about 100 agents nationwide that I'm mentoring and I'm working with right now.
Wow, those connections really go a long way. So you're basically everywhere in the United States. And of course, John, I would like to thank you for joining us in this podcast episode. But before we end this, maybe you would like to promote anyone, anything, any businesses you're connected with, or maybe just a shout out to your to the people you work with.
I want to give a shout out to my team, to my real estate agents. If they're watching this or listening to this, whether it's right after this is published or years down the road, and they come across this podcast, one thing that I keep on preaching to them, the market turned about 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah, it's about 2 years ago. The market slowed down, and our message changed on the team. And I said, you know what? There's one rule: show up. You want to be successful? Show up. And I want to shout the team out because they showed up. They kept on showing up when other agents quit, when other agents decided, you know what, this is too hard, or the grass is greener on the other side, which it never is. Really, you know where the grass is greener is where you show up. Where you show up, the grass is greener. So I challenged my team and I said, you know what, guys, if you can just show up every day, the best version of you, you already beat your competition, because I bet you your competition's not showing up today. So I want to give a shout out to my team because they showed up, every one of them, every single day, even the days where they don't feel like getting up, they don't feel like showing up, they show up. So I want to shout my whole team, the Fine Living Group here in DMV in San Diego, also in Florida. They all showed up every single day, even with the days where, honestly, if they chose not to show up, it probably was a good reason, but they still showed up. So I want to give them a shout out. Also want to give a shout out to you guys, like Sphere Rocket. Whenever I need staffing needs, I know we just submitted a request for more interviews. We want to expand our inside sales team. It's very easy for us to just submit a request with you guys, and then we have interviews coming up for future inside sales agents on the team. So you guys make it easier for us to scale up, and that's what our business is, right? Our business is a way for you. If you cannot scale it up, then you have a job. If you cannot leave your business alone and you're stuck with it, then you have a job. So the way I look at it, and it's based on the E-Myth book that I learned from my first mentor, Craig Proctor. And I want to shout him out for helping me grow all these years. But that book says, if your business depends on you, you have a job. You're pretty much just running a job. So I remember I took that to heart. And if you want to expand your business, you want to keep it, have it scalable and affordable. Like Sphere Rocket's going to help you staff your backends, your people.
Thank you so much. And that's beautifully said. I definitely learned a lot about this, especially that just shows how much of a great leader you are, being able to, get those kind of people and last for more than a decade in terms of virtual assistants. I guess, yeah, definitely works out. And, the amount of trust you have in each other definitely shows the successful business that you built. And I guess that is the end for our episode here today at the Sphere Rocket Podcast Network. Thank you so much for everyone who's going to watch us or is currently tuning in and watching this. And we'll hope to see you again in the next episode. Goodbye, everyone.
Feeling the difference with Sphere Rocket VA? Tasks are flying off your list, and there's more me time in your day. And guess what? It's all super affordable. Yes, you heard right. Our virtual assistants aren't just amazing at what they do, they're easy on your wallet too. No more stress over emails or schedules. With Sphere Rocket VA, you get your time back and keep your budget happy. Ready for simpler, affordable workdays? Head on over to www.sphererocketva.com. Join us at Sphere Rocket VA, where every day is easy and easy on your budget.